I have some huge breaking news coming out of New York City and also out of Washington, D.C. President Biden opens up and admits things that none of us thought he would actually say out loud. Plus, he says he's not going to pardon his own son, Hunter Biden, if he ends up going to jail. I've got so many big things to go over with you today about the Russia-Ukraine war, George Clooney, anti-Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, many big stories. But the biggest one being that perhaps Donald Trump's hush money trial will be going to mistrial. I will be going through all of that and more. Thank you so much for joining me this evening on this emergency breaking news update. During an interview with ABC News, President Joe Biden has finally commented on the outcome of Trump's hush money trial. While I credit Biden for saying the American people are ultimately the ones who must decide how they feel about the conviction, he bashed the intelligence of Trump's supporters in the end. He stated, MAGA Republicans are coming out saying this was a fix. This is a jury, a judge set up to get Trump. There is no evidence of that. He's trying to undermine it. Look, he got a fair trial. The jury spoke like they speak in all cases, and it should be respected. So they took an expired misdemeanor and elevated it to a felony. How is that fair? They then made sure that the case took place in New York City, where 90% of people voted against Donald Trump. So to say that this is fair is completely unfair. On top of that, Judge Juan Merchan has been shown to be biased. Also, his daughter is receiving millions and millions of dollars for this particular case as she raises money from Democrat politicians. By the way, can you guys hear me okay? Will you just give a thumbs up or write yes if you can hear me? My microphone died earlier today and I was having audio problems. So please just let me know over in the chat. Okay, you're saying yes, yes, yes. Okay, I'll keep going. Whoa, you're saying yes a lot. Okay, let me keep going on this. Thank you for that. Now, with that being said, Joe Biden vowed not to pardon his son, Hunter Biden, during the same interview on ABC News. I really think he backed himself into a corner, arguing that we must respect court decisions. Now, despite his public vow on national television, I highly doubt President Biden will stick to this if his son Hunter is sentenced to prison. I can almost guarantee that he will pardon him before he leaves office. Now, Biden lies more than the devil, so it's hard for me to believe anything that comes out of his mouth. As most Democrats seem to be stuck thinking that Trump's reputation is doomed because of a felony charge, rapper and businessman 50 Cent has argued that it will only make Trump more popular among black men who feel the justice system is rigged against them. When asked why, 50 Cent responded that they both have RICO charges, referring to a charge Trump was hit with in 2023. Now, it's crazy to me how Democrats can't see that black people have been complaining about the justice system against them, which is exactly what Trump has been saying for years. In reality, this similarity is likely going to be respected over Joe Biden's Mother Teresa image, which we all know is fake. By the way, thank you guys so much for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps me out, and I'm grateful for each and every one of you. Seriously, thank you guys so much. All right, now I really believe that deep inside, these guys are panicking. How could they not be? Trump gets convicted of 34 felonies and raises $200 million. I would be panicking if I was the sitting president. Now, to showcase how desperate he is, the White House has announced that Biden will skip Ukrainian President Zelensky's peace summit and will instead spend a couple of days doing a fundraiser with actor George Clooney instead. In response, Volodymyr Zelensky stated, I believe that the peace summit needs President Biden. His absence would only be met by an applause from Putin. a personal standing applause by Putin. But to be fair, it doesn't seem like Biden cares about achieving peace. To me, it seems like he wants this war to drag out forever. Remember, the United States is addicted to forever wars. Just look at what he said during his recent trip to Paris, where he and Zelensky celebrated the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Biden apologized for not sending enough weapons, not for failing to achieve peace for Ukraine. Now, you know it's bad when Putin has called for peace more than Joe Biden. Kind of messed up, right? All right, now really quickly on the topic of George Clooney. It is now believed that George Clooney and his wife, Amal Clooney, are the ones behind the call for the International Criminal Court to arrest Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Amal is an international lawyer that deals in British law, and she has been calling for Netanyahu's arrest and to have him tried for crimes against humanity. She doesn't believe that Israel has the right to defend herself and seems to believe that Israel is at fault for the October 7th attack on Israel. Anyway, Biden is now fundraising with the Clooney family. Every Jew in America should pay attention to Joe Biden's behavior. He's literally dining with the couple that believes Israel doesn't have the right to defend herself. What's that saying? Actions speak louder than words. Well, that's exactly what I see when I take a look at this. Now, by the way, I see you guys. Thank you guys so much for the chats. I hope you don't think I'm ignoring you. I'm just trying to get to this news update, but thank you guys for your comments. Okay, now back in Ukraine, unfortunately, we can't tell the exact damage the war has caused so far, with Putin making claims that 1 Russian has died for every 5 Ukrainian. However, many members of the military believe that over 500,000 people have died. But with Ukraine's numbers dwindling, people from other nations may be forced to fight on the front lines and give their lives. Most recently, Ukraine has called on France to send military advisors to their country to help. In response, Russia has admitted that they will attack anyone from any nation who steps in Ukraine to fight against Russia. Now, attacking French soldiers would be, to some extent, an attack on NATO, which would trigger Article 5, and NATO would then begin World War III against Russia. It's almost like they're trying to trigger a war. They certainly don't want it to end. There's just too much money being funneled back to donors and the military industrial congressional complex. But let me know over in the comments, do you think that they are leading us to World War III? I mean, there's just so many things that point to yes, that I have a hard time seeing it any other way. Now, despite the clear chance for massive escalation, Biden has not spoken against France for his offering assistance. During a recent interview with Sean Hannity, Donald Trump argued that he must get back in the office to prevent nukes and World War III. Trump stated, Putin is now talking about nuclear weapons for the first time. I mean, he's talking about them all the time because Ukraine is now talking about hitting Russia. And Biden doesn't know what the hell to say. But all of these things, they're going to end up leading to World War III. I'll get the Ukrainian situation settled, and I'll settle it fast. Now, I do think that it might not happen in one day, but I do believe that if Donald Trump were back in office, he would immediately try to open lines of communication with Vladimir Putin, and he would be trying to convince NATO, nobody needs to go to war. No more people need to die. And so for this reason alone, we should want Trump back in office so that he can keep the world safe. Now, I see somebody over on the side saying, did YouTube take down your last video? No, I tried to do a community post. It was a fantastic interview, and it will be released either tomorrow or the next day. I highly recommend you do that. For some reason, the audio was not picking up on the guest, Colonel John Mills. I could hear it perfectly through my computer, and so I didn't realize that you guys weren't hearing it. And so I apologize to my community for that. But out of respect, I didn't want you to watch it and be frustrated and waste your time. So I took it down. I'm paying to have it, basically the audio amplified on the guest's voice, and then I will release it. So just wanted to share that with you since I saw somebody asking about that. All right, now I'm also hoping that Donald Trump gets the US economy settled, because as of right now, according to the Federal Reserve Bank, they're creating too many jobs. However, this is not a good thing, because what it means is the economy is still too hot, so they're not going to be able to lower interest rates, and inflation continues to go higher and higher. The other thing is that according to the data, more and more Americans are taking part-time jobs, and many believe that they are picking up extra shifts in order to afford how expensive America has become. So although you could very easily say, hey, more jobs is a good thing, according to the Federal Reserve, that is not a good thing. It doesn't help with inflation. It doesn't help with getting interest rates lower. And these are a lot of part-time jobs. Hopefully people in my community, you guys are just working one job that's paying you well, or maybe you have a side hustle where you're making some extra money. But I hope none of you are working 2, 3, 4 part-time jobs just to make it. I spoke with someone the other day. They work a full-time job and then they go work at Burger King for another 6 hours just because the cost of living has become so expensive. All right, let me keep going because there's some big Trump news about his mistrial. Now, in Congress, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is supposed to come and speak on July 24th. Netanyahu will address a joint Congress, which means that Democrats have agreed to appear with Republicans to hear the leader out. However, I am predicting right now there will be many boos against Netanyahu from the Democrat side. Now, following this announcement, House Speaker Mike Johnson stated, "The bipartisan bicameral meeting symbolizes the United States and Israel's enduring relationship and will offer Prime Minister Netanyahu the opportunity to share the Israeli government's vision for defending their democracy, combating terror, and establishing just and lasting peace in the region." Again, many Democrats are saying that that Benjamin Netanyahu should not be invited to come speak in front of U.S. Congress. But hello, you've invited Zelensky twice, you hypocrites. So I believe Netanyahu should come, whether you agree with him or not. If he's on American soil, he's got freedom of speech, and I think he should be heard out. Now, while I'm sympathetic to the civilians in Gaza, I really am. I hate that they're losing their lives. You have to admit that this is the fault of Hamas. Hamas is stealing their supplies, their water, their medical. They're using their people as human shields. For instance, the IDF has just found a tunnel within a child's bright pink room. The IDF stated this week the troops located a tunnel shaft inside of a child's room and a butcher's knife next to it. In addition, the troops identified 6 terrorists near a school in the area of the troops. The terrorists were eliminated by a UAV and tank fire. Now, the IDF also claimed that Hamas has used and is using schools to conduct operations. All right, now listen to this. Remember the Arizona drama between Carrie Lake and Katie Hobbs as they both ran for governor? Well, Katie Hobbs, the Democrat, who won under very suspicious circumstances, now Governor Katie Hobbs is being investigated for taking a $400,000 donation bribe. The Attorney General will now be investigating the Arizona governor for kickbacks, bribery, and looking the other way, while a contracting group that donated raises their rates and is given government money. So basically, they donated 400,000. This bribe money was taken, and then once Katie Hobbs was governor, she started doling out millions and millions of dollars of taxpayer money to whom? This very group of contractors. So she's now being investigated. The Attorney General of Arizona will be investigating her, and I will cover that story and let you know what's going on. I mean, what is going on in Arizona? They had a very suspicious 2020 election, a very, very suspicious 2022 election, and now the governor finally gets in and is accused with pretty good evidence of taking a $400,000 bribe. I mean, she must be taking advice from Bob Menendez, right? That guy, 400,000, a closet full of gold bars, and he's saying, no. This construction guy gave me this money, but it's not what you think. All right, now speaking of court cases, President Donald Trump might be getting some incredible news. It's still early, but his hush money case where he was convicted of 34 bogus counts of felony could be labeled a mistrial, thus removing the felon label Democrats have been overusing all week long. Judge Juan Merchan sent out a letter where he explains that jurors may have been speaking with and consulting with outside influences. For example, there was a message within the court's Facebook system where someone said, my cousin is one of the Trump jurors, and he's telling me that Trump will be convicted of felony. This means that the jurors gave a corrupted verdict. It also means jurors had made up their mind before the case was over. It also means this case could be retried or labeled a mistrial. Now, Democrats are evil enough to do a retrial because it would keep Donald Trump locked up in a courtroom for the next 5 to 7 weeks. It would also ensure that he has zero time to campaign and zero chance of getting an appeal or to the Supreme Court before November 5th. So many legal analysts now online are saying, whoa, wait a minute. You have to throw out the Trump conviction. You have to label this a mistrial. The jurors broke the law and were communicating with outside influences, family members, friends, and who knows, right? Like we just saw a $250 million lawsuit up in Minnesota where one of the jurors had a bag of cash, $120,000 in cash, left at her doorstep with a note that said, if you vote the way we want and free these people, you'll get another bag of cash. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened with Trump. I'm saying that's what happened in Minnesota. What I am saying happened to Trump is this person has admitted that their cousin said he is going to be convicted. So this is now a dirty verdict. That means that they were basically breaking the law and communicating. Now, this situation is still being investigated, right? That's why I said it's still early. But the fact that the Judge Juan Merchan, has openly communicated this dire situation to both legal teams, it's not looking good. It's looking like this was not a fair and true verdict, that perhaps there was outside influence, that there was jurors leaking private details to family members, friends, and outside influences. Now, keep in mind, these jurors in New York, they were not sequestered. In fact, they went home for a holiday, and they were just instructed, don't talk to anybody and don't read the news. Don't get on Twitter or the internet, right? So, of course, there is an opportunity for outside influence, and because of that, that's why this is looking like it will go in Donald Trump's favor. Now, I want to hear from you guys over in the chat. What do you think is going to happen? I want you to type M if you think mistrial, and I want you to type R if you think retrial, keep him in court for 5 to 7 weeks. What do you think is going to happen? Okay, some M's. The judge should have sequestered them. This trial needs to end. They didn't even receive the jury instructions. Mistrial, 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 retrial. Man, this is moving fast. Okay, lots and lots of M's. Okay, so you guys are hoping for a mistrial. I mean, listen, according to what I've read this evening, this should become a mistrial with a capital M. However, like I said, you guys, the Democrats, they are out for blood. They want Trump dead, or they want him jailed for the rest of his life. They do not want him doing, I mean, think about if he was doing these huge 50 to 100,000 people events a couple of times a week. If he was visiting all 50 states, if he was spending several days a week in swing states, I do not believe that they are going to allow him. But you have to remember, Judge Juan Merchan is under a lot of pressure now. He's basically the judge that convicted a former president, and he may use this as a legal out to get away from this, to try to clear his name, to not go down in history, even though I think he will. I think he's going to go down as a corrupt, biased judge, but that's just me. Based on everything I'm reading about his family, his wife, his daughter, I believe it already should have been a mistrial, but now with a juror leaking secret information to family and friends, and then leaking that they had already decided to convict Trump before things were over, it's looking very good for Trump and looking very bad for Juan Merchan. All right, lots and lots of M's. Thank you guys for your feedback. I love hearing from you guys. All right, lastly, Trump's top consultant, Steve Bannon from the War Room, whom Democrats are jailing for 4 months because he had the courage to refuse to testify in front of Nancy Pelosi's fake, rigged, biased January 6th hearing, has shared some bold words about Donald Trump and his jail time. Steve Bannon eviscerates the Justice Department and says there is nothing they can do to stop the Trump movement after he was ordered to report to prison. Here's what he had to say. Not only are we winning, we are going to prevail. And every number and every poll shows that there's nothing that can shut me up and nothing that will shut me up, right? Or sorry, nothing they can do and nothing that will shut me up. There's not a prison built or a jail built that will ever shut me up. We're going to win this. We're going to win at the Supreme Court. And more importantly, we're going to win on November 5th. What do you guys think of Steve Bannon's words? Do you ever watch War Room? My gosh, he is so bold. I wish I had his intelligence and his boldness, but I try to bring you guys a really great show every day, right? But he is, wow, he is on fire some days. And so anyway, he's saying, listen, I'm going to jail for my country and for my president. And there is nothing the Democrats can do that is going to shut me up. Trump is going to win. Trump is going to win no matter what. So anyway, very, very bold prediction. He is going to go to jail in not too long. Peter Navarro, the other person that the Democrats jailed because of Nancy Pelosi's fake trial, he'll be getting out soon. It will be really, really interesting to see if Steve Bannon does the War Room from jail. Maybe he'll call in. I don't know. This guy, he is going to keep being Trump's mouthpiece and trumpet. And that guy needs to be back in the White House because he is so bold. Imagine him now turning the tide on the Democrats that have made his life a living hell, that have made Donald Trump's life a living hell. Anyway, I do think we'll end up with a mistrial. Fingers crossed. Thank you guys for being with me this Friday evening. I appreciate that. I'm going to get going to be with my family. I love you. Stay amazing, and I will see you on the next video.